Hello everyone, it's Cynthia with your daily tarot card of the day. Welcome in, welcome in. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. This week we're using the Healing Earth Tarot, and I have information about this deck in the description box below. And I also like to say, these messages are general for the collective energies of the day. So take what resonates and leave the rest behind. If these messages are timeless, so whenever you're happen to be guided to watch this video, there's likely a message here for you. But first and foremost, above all else, trust your own intuition. Trust your own inner guidance, your own higher self, your spirit guides. And, don't own anything that doesn't resonate with who you are or what's really going on in your life. You're not going to miss anything. If Spirit has a message here for you, they're either going to guide you to watch it again, or they're going to, let this plant the seed, and then when it resonates and makes sense, you're going to go, oh yeah, I heard somewhere that that energy would be here, or that, oh, I would have to, deal with this or handle that, or that, whatever the case might be. Spirit always has a message. If you're watching, eventually you might get something out of it. But if it doesn't belong to you, then please leave it behind. No worries. Okay, one more shuffle and then we'll cut the deck for today's card. Thank you, Spirit. The Ten of Crystals. So this deck has some extra suits, one of which is the crystals. I kind of look at it as a cross between earth and sword energy in traditional tarot, but the Ten of Crystals really is very much, as you can see, like the Ten of Swords. And it brings to mind a lot of the mental torment and anguish that we feed ourselves when we're holding on to things from the past that don't really need to be held on to. It's one thing to hold on to good memories and good feelings and, people, situation, places, things that we've enjoyed and that we care about. But sometimes even the good memories and stuff like that can be attached to maybe not so great times, or, you'd have good memories of a person. You find a picture and it's you and your old friend, and, oh, I remember when that was taken, blah, 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 blah. But it just so happens that you and that friend had a really rough time separating, or there was something, right? So it's like sometimes even when we hold on to the good memories, we're still holding on to the vibe of how something ended, or the stuff that was uncomfortable, or the stuff that was toxic or needed to be healed, or things that we think were a mistake, or this, that, the other thing. And the idea with the Ten of Crystals is to reframe it, is what I'm kind of hearing. Because I'm actually, Spirit's showing me, I know this is kind of specific, and I'm distracted by cat hair all over my desk. Oh, the cat was in my office last night sleeping right on top of everything. In any case, Spirit's showing me actually finding a picture or a keepsake or something like that, and having this well up of good memories, and then not so much maybe it's more intense, like, that picture, and it brings tears to our eyes, or we start to feel, guilty or angry, or, sad, or even distant or avoidant, right? There's something about touching on something from the past and having that energy come up, and you're being given an opportunity to say, well, c'est la vie. Giving yourself the opportunity to untangle your emotions from the bad feelings. Remember the goodness that was there, either with that person or in that place or situation, or whatever the case might be. And it's like you're not, in denial that the bad stuff happened, or the stuff that didn't feel great, or whatever it was. But it's more so that you can recognize in the whole context of the goodness that was present before then or at that time, that whatever upsetting emotions come up from other aspects of, the fullness of that experience, that you recognize it, that it's part of, that you can feel as blessed that this full, complete experience, whole unto itself, had good times, bad times, hard lessons, maybe some uncomfortable endings. So it's something about like reframing something from the past so that you can give yourself closure to let it go. So that every time that you see a thing, or you touch a thing, or, you're reminded of a thing, right? It doesn't always have to be the good memories suddenly clouded over by the shadows of the bad memories, if that makes sense. I'm not sure who this is for or why it's necessarily coming up, except for the fact that Spirit thinks that it's useful. So in that vein, we're going to say, with the Ten of Swords in traditional tarot, there's an ending that may have been painful, may have been difficult, but in the background of the card in many decks, there's a sunrise, right? And there's that saying, it's always, the darkest hour is always right before the sun rises, right? So it's that feeling of being in that really, I keep hearing the word tragic, like, a difficult, tragic, shadowy place. There's hurt, there's pain, but that's all mental suffering. And it's not to invalidate the feelings or the experience. It was very real. But once it's over, it really is like the event itself is over. We only relive it when we bring those feelings to mind. And it does. It lives in our memory. Our memory is a function of our, brain in huge portion as we think of it. And the brain is meant to get the body to process information and to respond accordingly, input and output, right? The spirit is, I think, the overseer of all of that. Spirit is connected to Akashic records. That's the memory of the universe, so to speak. Part and partial. And, if you want to know something, tap into spirit. It's there, right? If you can get your brain and your body to hit that vibe where Spirit's telling you what you need to know in any given moment, right? When we touch a picture or physical object, our nervous system, we're seeing it with our eyes. Our nervous system is recognizing stuff and bringing in all of it. And that's influencing our nervous system. And one of the ways that Spirit is saying, like, reframe this so that you can gain a certain amount of closure, is so that your nervous system can process it, and that every time you see that thing, you don't have to relive the entire tumult of a whole experience. The whole experience is somehow completed, okay? And Spirit's saying, like, the letting go process isn't a process of necessarily forgetting or, being in denial or quote unquote getting over it or something like that. The letting go process is about, like, recognizing the closure of that and then getting it out of your nervous system, so that every time that you are picking something up, you can be reminded of the benefit and the good things without necessarily having to relive all of the bad things in your nervous system all over again. Because then that puts you in a completely different space. So something about reframing the past, gaining closure on something, and being able to release it, releasing it out of the nervous system, out of the body. So the crystals being very much of, like, the mental, emotional, and that influence on the physical, because again, it's that swords mental energy, but it's also that earth pentacles type of energy from traditional tarot, kind of blended together. And in this instance, like, what I'm really seeing is something's completed, and we kind of need to take a broad view of that completion and let ourselves, like, fully process and let it out of our nervous system. We're not going to lose the good memories. We're not going to invalidate the difficulty of whatever the challenge may have been. We're simply letting it not hold a part of our energy hostage, so to speak. So this is definitely about, reframing some kind of past context, releasing some of this energy, gaining closure on a situation, and recognizing, again, like in the 10 of Swords, well, actually, it's even here too. See that red sun is coming up over the horizon, and she's like, the figure is suspended in, like, this sleep state, or like this, is suspended by all of these crystals. It's holding her stuck in a limbo situation. And when she releases herself from whatever these crystals are representing, that's when the sun rises and she can see clearly where she is right now. The yellow color of the clothing, to me, and even the shoes, it's wearing some kind of sandals or ballet slippers, is kind of like recognizing that solar plexus chakra. It's, are you identifying with your past, or are you identifying who you have become now? So even though something might trigger something from the past, an old memory or an old feeling, an old worry or anxiety or whatever, you need to look at who you are right now and work with that solar plexus energy. Like, I'm feeling it almost like as it's strong energy. I'm not going to say that something's necessarily depleting it. It feels like there's an off vibe that's almost like shaking. It's a wobbly feeling. When we get triggered, we get wobbly. Doesn't matter how much self-confidence, how much inner healing work, or, any kinds of therapies or practices or anything that we've used and how far we've come. Sometimes it has to do with what are we allowing to trigger us. So, maybe this isn't something specific from the past that you're still holding on to. For some who are listening, that might be the case. But for others who are listening, it could be constantly getting triggered and having this feeling, this wobbly feeling or this shaking feeling or this self-doubt feeling, and needing to turn around and be like, wait a minute, who am I? I'm here. These triggers are bothering me not because I haven't let go of the old situation that put the trigger in place, but because there's a residual influence within myself. Oh, this is less about that situation that put me in that, that wired the trigger. And this is more about, I'm still wired on the inside by a limiting belief or, a false definition or something to do with, again, that solar plexus energy, how you not just perceive yourself in the world, but then how you present yourself to the world. So that yellow color and the yellow before the sunrise, it's bringing it back to, if you've processed your situations and you've done the work and this, that, the other thing, it's bringing you back to a place of, now you might get wobbly when somebody pushes a button or if you get triggered, and that's okay, but you need to recognize in that context where you're at. Is there more closure or healing or clearing that needs to happen? Or are you in a position to turn around and say, wait a minute, I must still be holding on to a limiting belief. Like, if that's making me think this or respond this way or feel this way, then that means that I need to reframe something within that will show me something different. Oh, that's, the block that I kept running into, right? And that'll help to restabilize your energy. So it looks like dealing with either something from the past or dealing with triggers, solar plexus energy, and it's really just a part of you being self-aware and being aware of those situations. So on one end of the spectrum, it could be relatively straightforward and light for you today, in just recognizing, if something's triggering you, you need to take a minute and just like reevaluate. Wait a minute. Why do I want to, respond that way? Because that's not what I'm trying to do. So where is this limiting belief? Where is this false definition that I have that I need to reframe in order to be able to not respond that way or not be triggered by that? Or I know that person didn't mean that, but I took it that way and I can't respond that way. So I have to clean that up. You know what I mean? Dealing with solar plexus energy. And then the other end of the spectrum is, yes, the universe could be showing you something that's a little bit deeper, that still needs some healing or some kind of a closure, needs to be released in that fashion. So with that, I wish you peace, blessings, strength, and courage for the rest of your day and every day. And I thank you so much for being here. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow.